everybody, Julie Forget, from Gymnastics Canada. I'm here with Tony Smith. He's the National Team Director for Men's Artistic Gymnastics. And we're just going to have a chat today about getting more boys into men's gymnastics and what to look for and all that kind of good stuff.
All right.
So, if you don't know, just again, so Tony's National Team Director. He's been coaching for over 25 years, all out of the University of Calgary Gym Club.
That is correct.
That's right. And he was also a competitive gymnast himself, CIAU champion in what year?
1987.
Okay, so there we go. We're aging him a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so our first question, how did you first get started in gymnastics?
Well, I, like a lot of kids, ended up getting into gymnastics because my mom wanted me out of the house.
Right.
They were too busy wrecking stuff and making a mess, and gymnastics was a great place for me to wear off some energy and have some fun with some really cool equipment.
So what kept you coming back then?
Well, that was an interesting thing. I for a while, I really didn't like gymnastics. It was kind of hard. I was a really good athlete when I was young. I was probably a better hockey player and a football player and a soccer player than I was a gymnast. But I found gymnastics really challenging. And it became the sport that I decided I needed to conquer because it was so hard. And then I just fell in love with it.
So what is it about, it's hard, but what is it about the challenge that is enticing to kids that keeps them coming back?
Well, that's the thing with gymnastics. There's so many skills to learn.
Right.
And there's 6 apparatus to work on, plus you get to work on trampoline, and now you got foam pits to throw really great big tricks into. And it just became fun. And as soon as you learn something and you think you got it figured out, then there's something else to learn. So you really could never become complacent. And then as you got older, you had to learn how to compete those really fun moves.
That's
and
right.
That was another skill you had to learn. So I found it really challenging, and so I stuck with it because I just couldn't get enough of it.
Right on. This wasn't all my questions, but we talk a lot about how gymnastics is the foundation sport, that it just gives kids the vital skills they need to be better in all sports and just in life. What do you think are the most important skills that gymnastics teaches kids at that sort of foundational level? And how did it make you better in hockey and the other sports that you played?
Well, I think, the one thing that gymnastics does is you do a lot of physical preparation when you're in the gym. Even if you're just playing around, you're using your upper body, you need flexibility that you're trained with your coaches. All those things combined, the spatial awareness that you learn in the gym when you get upside down and you figure out where you are in space. You take that out onto a hockey ice or you take it into any sport, wrestling and track and field, pole vaulting, badminton. We've had kids that have come through the gymnastics program that, they didn't become Olympic gymnasts, but they became state champions in pole vault, national badminton players. We have guys that went on to the Olympic Games in snowboarding. The sport leads to all kinds of things, and it just gives you an edge. Europe has been doing this for years. It's still part of their education system. It's part of their physical education programs. Gymnastics is a huge component. And now in Canada, you need to go to a gym club, but we have some great gym clubs in Canada.
Right on. That's a great answer. Okay, so why do you think above and beyond that, we kind of just answered this question, but why should parents put boys in particular into gymnastics? Because obviously we tend to think about girls going into gymnastics, but what is in it for boys especially?
Well, I think the thing that attracted me and attracts a lot of little kids is the fact that it's a bit of a risky sport.
Right.
It's fun. It's an X Games kind of activity, but in a very safe environment. And so, when you've got that little risk taker, this is a great place to put him where he's going to learn how to use his abilities properly. He's going to learn how to fall properly. It teaches perseverance.
Right.
It teaches you that, you need to be accountable for you and your training and you and your practice. It's not up to anybody else what goes on in there. It's really up to you. And so it teaches you a lot of skills about self-discipline.
And I know popular with a lot of boys now is parkour. And I imagine, that's vital. Gymnastics is great training for parkour. Is that something that we're sort of starting to look at a bit more, or?
Well, yeah. Well, the United States especially, they're now introducing kids American Ninja.
Wow.
All about for kids.
Wow.
It's all about parkour. It's all about these courses that challenge every component of your physical abilities.
Oh, cool.
It's fun. They've turned it into a little bit of a different kind of avenue for boys. But the whole idea is that it gets you into gymnastics.
Right.
And the more gymnastics training you do, the better you are at American Ninja. So, it's all part and parcel. And I think that's a great avenue for kids to look at. But yeah, parkour is huge in drop-in in gymnastics all across the country. Half the drop-in kids are kids that come in there and work on their parkour skills, because again, it's a safe environment to learn those crazy things that then you want to go take out to the street.
Yeah. And hopefully they'll stick around and try competitive gymnastics.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So what do they learn? So having a good coach is going to be vital for them to learn the skills and to do them properly in a safe environment. What kind of coach should parents be looking for their kids?
Well, I think this is where it becomes pretty crucial, as to when you're going to get into competitive gymnastics, then your coach is the most important thing to look for. Your coach needs to be well educated. If you have a coach that's got a academic degree and in the physiological field, physical education degrees are great, but that doesn't always mean you're going to get the best coach. The NCCP coaching certification program, level 3 and 4 coaches are the highest certified coaches in this country. But again, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get a really good coach. You need a coach who's going to be able to listen, who can not only listen to the kids, but listen to the parents, be very personable. He's got to be energetic. He's got to be enthusiastic. He's got to drive those kids, those little kids, to love gymnastics. Not push hard, but just create an environment where it's fun to learn, where you're learning the right stuff, and then you're not overdoing it. Little kids take time, and we start. I believe in a program where boy 6 years old, 4 hours a week is probably enough, maybe 6, and works your way up from that. But I really believe that 8, 9, 10, you can still train under 12 hours a week and still have a successful career. And this is where it gets tricky.
Right.
So if you got a 10-year-old boy and he's got some abilities to do gymnastics, well, at age 10 you got to look at the big picture, which is he's probably going to have to train 16, 18 hours a week at that point, and it's going to grow from there. Training more than 24, 25 hours a week, well, now you're at the senior level.
Right.
You could do a little bit more than that, but you got to be really careful. And I guess my message to parents is, make sure the program you go into and the coaches you're working with aren't trying to push, 18 hours a week to your 7-year-old kid, because he's going to learn to hate gymnastics. And we see it all across the country. It's a long sport. Our goal from the national program point of view is we're looking for really great 18-year-old athletes. We're not looking for the best 7-year-old or the best 8-year-old or 10 or even 12 or 14-year-old. It's a long road, and it takes time, this sport, a lot longer than any other activity. You need to start young, persevere through lots of issues, but have a coach that's going to understand those issues, that's going to know when it's time to back off, when it's time to push you a little bit, and understand that you need a balance in your life. And I think if you can find a guy who's willing to work with you, that's the coach you want to have.
Right on. Hopefully the noise isn't too much in the background, everybody. That we're just doing, I think, some awards or something is just finishing behind us. So we're good now. So obviously coaching very important, but parents are a huge part of that, as we all know. Sometimes there's your hockey parents out there, but what can parents do to help their kids be successful, but to also help the coaches and help the clubs to be successful as well?
Well, anytime you get involved in a competitive program in Canada, you're going to be volunteering for your gym club. And I guess there's a balance between how much volunteer time you put in and how much time you put into your son's training.
Right.
And I think you're going to be your son's number one supporter. You're the person he's going to go to when things are tough, but let him go to you.
Okay.
When he needs you, he'll come to you. And I've seen that with parents who got too involved and they're making too many decisions for their kids, and those kids then don't learn how to take responsibility for their own training. And training isn't just in the gym, it's training outside the gym. It's the disciplined part of being an athlete, and being able to balance school and balance your gym, and maybe balance a part-time job even, once you become a teenager. All those things are important, and a parent, in my opinion, needs to let those kids figure those things out a lot for themselves. It's okay to fail. Gymnastics is a sport about failing a lot. It takes a long time to master what you're going to go out and compete, and you're probably going to miss those skills 100 times before you finally make it nicely. Kids learn from that. And they also need to learn that when you go out and you fail on your own, that you figure out how to persevere, how to figure out what went wrong, and move on. And I think parents who answer those questions for their kids, I think their kids take a longer time to develop as an athlete and as a person. You know, in my opinion, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen lots of kids come through my programs, and the kids that figure things out the fastest are the ones that are, you know, more responsible for everything that's going on in their gymnastics careers.
Right on. That's a great answer. So we're going to open it up to questions now. I think we've got, if you want to ask anything of Tony, you can ask him anything you want to about some of the athletes that are here, athletes that he's coached, sort of what we're looking forward to in 2020. We'll look for a couple seconds for some questions, and if not, then you can still comment afterwards once we shut down the live video. We've got Michelle Chartier said something here, and I think he just says you need a coach that can follow the athlete in all aspects of its life. An athlete is not only a machine. That's totally right.
Yeah, and you know, I was very fortunate that I got to coach at the University of Calgary, where part of you know, being associated with the university is a real holistic look at what that young man is going through. And like I say, the university, they expect us to work with them in all components of their life, and academics being a huge part. You know, we've had to send kids home when mom says, yeah, you know, Jimmy's not doing good in math, but you know, he really wants to go to gym, so we're going to send him. And we pick up the phone and say, no, you know, Jimmy's got to work on math, and when his math gets good, he'll be back, and he'll be a little hungrier and probably be a little better off and not screw up in math anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I think that was it. So thank you so much, Tony. That was awesome. I hope everybody out there learned some tips, and let's get more boys into gymnastics. This is an incredible sport. I'm blown away all the time by the skills that I see these guys have, and they're incredible athletes and incredible people. So thank you to Tony. And
thank you, Julie.
Thank you, no problem. And again, if you have questions you want to ask afterwards, we'll be looking at it for comments, and we will see you tonight, hopefully watching GymCan.tv. We've got apparatus finals tonight for the guys.
Senior man and junior man.
There we go. And we've got novice, I think, girls, is that tonight. So that's it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Cheers.